Good afternoon, Brad.
Good afternoon, Warren.
So, Brad Greer from DrySee Waterproof Bandages.
DrySee is the world's only liquid indicating waterproof bandage.
Okay.
So Warren goes to the dermatologist, they remove or excise a couple of cancerous moles, and they place this waterproof 3M Tegaderm on the wound site.
Okay.
And the instructions from the caregiver or the nurse are, Warren, go home, don't shower for 4 days. And when you come back in 4 days, we're probably going to cut more out. And you say to the nurse, well, I want to shower. And the nurse then says, well, if you really want to shower, Warren, then wrap saran wrap around your arm. So we compete with saran wrap. Um, so strike that standard of care with DrySee. DrySee is the world's only, again, liquid indicating waterproof bandage. So they place this over the wound site and you're told go home, shower every day, swim in your pool.
Wow.
And if DrySee changes color, it'll change color from intrusion from liquids at the perimeter band and the wound pad. So if it changes color at the wound pad and the perimeter band, you know to change your bandage. So you can wear this for 3-4 days. And patients are swapping 2 or 3 of these out a day. And CMS or private health insurance payers will pay for three of these a week.
Oh,
So there's definitely a cost saving. Plus, if you're swapping this Tegaderm out 3 a day, you're inviting greater possibilities of surgical site infections. So wear this for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days until it changes color, and then you know when to change your bandage.
okay. So that's amazing. And obviously, the name DrySee makes it very clear that that's what it is. So, congratulations on that. I like that you made the name what it is. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
How did you end up? Did you invent this? I know, as you said, it's patented. I researched it, and it says it's the only patented. Yes,
Right.
but
We've got 3 patents. And the problem came to us actually from an oncology nurse here in Houston. She was at MD Anderson, and chemo port patients couldn't shower for 1 week, 2 weeks at a time. She brought the problem to our chairman, who's an inventor. He was actually issued his first patent when he was in college at UT. So Tad tinkered and figured it out in about a year and had a prototype ready for his meniscus surgery. And the prototype and DrySee worked. And what's interesting is, if you're familiar with wound care, in our second patent prosecution, Johnson & Johnson Ethicon and Smith & Nephew, both global top 5 wound care companies, were cited as prior art references, meaning that they had pending patents and they were trying to figure this out and couldn't with all of their R&D dollars to spend.
wow. So and basically one of our local Texas guys, very smart guy, obviously managed to crack the code on this thing.
He did. He did indeed.
And so today, do you have how do you have to differentiate your product from competitors, from potential infringers on the market or not?
Well, we haven't had any knockoff issues. We stay away from distributors like Medline. I mean, we've got 3 patents, and if we worked with them, they wouldn't care. They'd knock us off and send it to China. And we're all US made, by the way. But we're starting to work with a mid-size healthcare distributor, and they fly under the radar, and they're trustworthy. So there's opportunities abound, but you do have to be careful.
So you got to pick the right partners.
Correct.
How do you know the right ones from the wrong ones?
A lot of it is your network and experience. For example, our CTO, Mark Etchels, has been in wound care for over 30 years. So he's actually been on the wrong side of some of these experiences with, well, Johnson and Johnson and Medline. So that's part of it, and it's part of, who you know in the industry, and
Hmm.
they'll confirm or provide guidance on who you should work with and who you should probably avoid.
That's very interesting. Have you been with the company since the beginning then, or how long have you been with
Well,
DrySee?
not quite, but pretty darn early. We formed as a Delaware C corporation in July 2019.
Okay. Okay. And one other question I wanted to ask you, what about I read something on the internet about crowdfunding.
Oh,
How
well,
about
I'm thrilled that you brought that up, and I'm being sarcastic.
that?
I mean, I'm going to make this a fun interview now. It's a great idea, and we did give that a go with Start Engine. They're one of the biggest players in the crowdfunding industry, and it was a lot of work, and they raised a little bit of money, and we became frustrated with them. And I'll tell you what, we had a Zoom meeting like this. And Howard, the CEO of Start Engine, was on the Zoom with a couple of his colleagues and one or two of our colleagues. And at one point during the conversation, which was centered around, we want out of this deal,
Hmm.
Howard, the CEO, in front of his employees and ours, said, "Y'all are losers."
Great way to win friends and influence people.
Right. So we're not losers, but he apparently thought so.
Well, that's a good, we have a lot of people that watch these things that are potential entrepreneurs or and think about these things to raise money because people, when they hit a certain scale, need funding and they can't get funding because they don't have a bunch of profit to show. And so they're kind of stuck in this gap. And then they sometimes deploy methods they wouldn't normally use. Is that a fair statement?
It is fair and accurate. And venture funding, it was supposed to ease up this year, but it's still very tight. They're doing follow-up rounds. There's not a lot of seed rounds, and then the diligence is 6+ months. I mean, at a prior company, we closed an Austin Ventures deal some years ago in 90 days.
Wow.
So it's tough. And then actually today we're working on lists of wealthy entrepreneurs and angels that are a fit with med tech and healthcare, because the due diligence isn't as lengthy and is, well, aggravating, frankly, and lengthy. So we're working on that because we'd like to raise a seed round for our phase 2 products.
And can you talk at all about what those products are?
Yes, we have a highly absorbent foam product. Give me 1 second. I
Sure.
have a prototype unit, and it's one of 2 blue foams on the market in the world today. This is a prototype, and it's in short supply, but there's a gaggle of variations we could go with that product. The reimbursements are higher with the foam products, and they're chronic wounds, whereas this product is for acute wounds,
Right.
health post-surgical wounds, or going to the beach with your kids. You're not going to let your child get into the Gulf of Mexico with an open wound. You're going to wear DrySee.
Right. Right. No, that's perfect. So this is really interesting because I see successful companies like yours and they continue to innovate and come up with uh, it could be new technology, it could be new products. Tell me about the drive behind that.
I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Tell me about the drive behind that to continue to innovate because that requires more risk, right?
Right, right, right. And along the way, when you're building a company, you're de-risking, like selling product, or having those 2 patents issued and granted, successfully making product at scale. So while you're de-risking, yes, it is increased risk when you add a new product line. It costs more to make, and then you've got to make that product successfully at scale. So there's certainly some risk, and we're still looking around for the optimal foam product, highly absorbent foam product for the market, because the big guys in their billions in revenue, it's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, I love this David and Goliath story.
Well, it is. And, for example, on our Amazon channel, we were out selling a competitor month 5 on Amazon that had been around for years, and that company sold for $30 million. But on Amazon, we have very good Amazon partners, and it's a very, very tricky place to sell and sell successfully. But we found sabotage reviews on Amazon.
Oh,
Here
wow.
and there, Amazon has taken a few down. And we've also noticed that some of the big players out there, Smith and Nephew, 3M, or 3M spun off their healthcare company. It's now called Solventum. Anyway, those big players are buying our trademark as a keyword because we're denting into their sales. So, yeah, we're small, we're lean and mean, and we've got a long way to go, but we're making progress.
That's awesome. So if you think about starting over, at least from where you started in the company and doing it again, what would you change? What's one thing you would do differently?
Raise more money earlier.
Okay.
That would have paid for investment in really good salespeople. There's a guy in here in Houston I wanted to bring on, but he's expensive, but he's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Improvements in manufacturing, meaning more people. And along with that additional capital, faster growth in less time than we've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we need to be. I will say that we've got 2, opportunities or paths for exit, but we've got to make some more progress before we are ready to tee that up.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. You think about companies and growing them, but the growing the asset is a big piece of what most people want to do with the company, right?
Absolutely.
How do you determine proper what's the proper space and time, or what are the proper metrics you look at when you think about when it's optimized value for exit?
Well, higher revenue. For example, I mentioned Smith and Nephew earlier, and Alan Friedline at Smith and Nephew. He did take us to the United Kingdom. I believe they're based in Manchester, Birmingham, and pitched us briefly. And the feedback was, y'all need a B2B order and a reorder. And it doesn't have to be just massive or huge, but just prove that up. And for a lot of reasons, it's been difficult to not only start selling in the B2B channels, but really getting it going. Healthcare is difficult. It's complicated, and that's why it's so expensive, and it shouldn't be that way. If you're familiar with GPOs, those are group purchasing organizations.
Okay.
And with hospital systems or IDNs, as they're called. It's an integrated delivery network. Memorial Hermann is an example, obviously.
Right.
They use Vizion as a GPO. And so there's a contract, and so 3M is selling this for cents,
Mm-hmm.
and they make so many more of them a month, and they can do that. And ironically, in the government channels, now there are no GPOs. So we're in the game, actually, pricing wise. And we have a new government contractor, and they've introduced us to a sales force, healthcare sales force. And they have 20 sales reps across the country, and we're getting that started. And so far, that looks exciting and good.
Isn't it funny how at the end of the day, you got to have sales?
Yes, you do. You do indeed. And fortunately, we have produced revenue. We started selling in April 2021. And this year, our sales in January, March, and April, well, let's back out of April, but January, February, March 2024, those sales month over month are up anywhere from 88% to 96% over those same months in 2023. So that's progress. We've got a long way to go, but it's certainly
Wow.
progress. Yeah.
And what do you attribute that success to?
A lot of this, or most of it today, is our Amazon channel, and we've got really good Amazon people, not only on the store management and logistics side. We sell DrySee direct on Amazon with our partners, but on the marketing side, sponsored brand, sponsored product, that's what Amazon's ad spend is, and you have to spend. But keyword selection, methodologies, your Amazon page, your videos, there's just a lot of items that go into being successful on Amazon. It's very difficult. If you mess up, you can get in the Amazon doghouse, which we've experienced. So it's a lot of progress and just great, smart people helping us, especially in that channel.
That's great. Yeah, I know even Amazon distribution, they've got a zero tolerance for failure on their you better have your stuff there on time, and the customer better give you good feedback.
Well, that's right. And our third-party logistics Amazon partner, their distribution center is near Logan, Utah. And the way that works is our inventory's there, and we trickle just enough inventory over to Amazon FBA. That's fulfillment by Amazon, the Amazon distribution center. Just enough to keep them happy. You can't send them too much inventory, and you certainly don't want to run out of inventory.
That's great. Okay, last question, because I know we got to go. Any advice you would give to entrepreneurs that you think would be kind of an aha for them, or any like solid, hey, you got to do this?
Well, you got to work smart, and you've got to be creative. There's going to be challenges every day. You're going to try 20 things, and 14 or 15 of them are not going to work. And you got to come up with that other 5 that do work. And that's every day, every week. That's what it's all about when you're building a company. And every industry, every company has its challenges. And certainly we do, being in healthcare. And I would say another thing, not every company is a home run. I was with a prior company. It was my biggest deal, and it was a home run. And again, I hope you're okay with the baseball analogy, but DrySee is probably a double, but that's okay. So, the home runs are very difficult to find. So pick up a double or hit a single,
Yes.
and steal second.
That's what Altuve would do in a lot of cases. He doesn't hit home runs all the time either. So that's good. Thank you so much, Brad. This is great. I really appreciate your wisdom and your time today.
Likewise, Warren, we're here to help anytime, and let's continue to communicate.
That's a deal.
Uh,
And by the way, I love your support for our medical. I saw the stuff you did in Ukraine, just helping out people, and helping save lives. So I want to say thank you for that too.
Oh, well, yeah, our pleasure. We'd like to do more, but at least we had that opportunity to help.
All right. Looking forward to our next conversation. Have a great day.
You too, Warren. Likewise. Take care.